All right. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Thank you for coming tonight. How many people are here for the first time? A few of you. All right. Thank you for coming. I'm not going to go into a long explanation about how all this started. If you have specific questions for me about that at the end, I'd be happy to answer them for you. But for the new people, suffice to say that this channeling appears to be an interaction, a telepathic connection that was made between myself and Bashar, who presents himself as an extraterrestrial consciousness. You don't have to believe that in order to participate. We don't insist on that. There's no way to prove it. The information seems to be what's important, seems to have the ability to help people. That's why we do the channeling. I've been doing this now for about 13 years. The way that we do this, you'll catch on instantly, is very informal. I will go into the altered state that allows the connection to be made. Bashar will come through and talk about what he thinks for a few minutes is an important subject to share. And then for the duration of the session, it'll be basically questions and answers for you to ask whatever it is that you feel is important for you to ask or that you want to engage him in discussion about. Again, for new people, it does not matter what the subject is. If it's important to you and you want to ask the question, by all means, please do so. It doesn't matter if it's personal or cosmic or what have you. The way that we will be doing this now, this is what's relatively new here, is that we are now being able to make tapes available of each session immediately after each session if you want a copy. We also have, as it says here, a few other tapes available right now plus a list. But the way we're going to do this is that we have a wireless mic. Would you hold that up? So that when you do have a question, the mic will simply get passed around to you when Bashar calls on you, and then go ahead, hold the mic, just so we can get the question on tape, because it's a little bit frustrating for people to hear the answer but not hear the question. So just go ahead and have that, and we can get the whole thing done pretty easily. When Bashar says, "How may I serve you?" you will see that the people that are familiar with this will just out loud say, "Bashar," and he will point at you in whatever order he perceives is necessary. Then once you have the mic, just go ahead and ask him your question like you would ask anyone a question. Does anyone have any questions about procedures, anything they think they need to understand in order to participate more easily here? No? Okay. Again, thanks for coming. Please have a good time. That's really the bottom line. And I will see you all later.
Say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? Once again, allow us to thank each and every one of you for the co-creation of this interaction. Once again, each and every time, that you allow such an interaction, such a communication to take place through this gate from our civilization to yours in this way. You allow our civilization to experience through each and every one of you an expansion of creation. By viewing the unique perspectives that each and every one of you present, we understand that many more ways that the infinite has of expressing itself. So this is a gift of sharing to us. We thank you for that. We would like to begin this communication this day of your time with a few ideas as they may translate into your language as follows. First and foremost, we would like to discuss the concept a little bit of what we would call the creative tap. And then we would like to give you a tool, an exercise, if you wish, that will allow you to utilize the concept of the creative tap in whatever way, shape, and form you so desire to your own applications in life, to your own intentions in life, to help accelerate your ability to utilize your creative flow, what might be euphemistically called your channeling flow, if you wish. It is up to you. It doesn't matter what the label is in your language. But the idea of allowing more intuition, more insight, more creativity in the application of how you approach certain circumstances in your day-to-day physiological life. The idea of the creative tap is, first of all, of course, to understand, as many of you are now beginning to understand more and more every day, that you are truly multidimensional beings. That you really, as a total consciousness, not just the idea of your physiological self, but as a total consciousness, quite a bit above and beyond the physiological reality. You really do occupy an infinite number of dimensions simultaneously with the one that you presently occupy as physiological beings in what you consider to be the typical here and now, or at least as you have been taught that concept. The notion that you now know or begin to recognize yourself as multidimensional beings, coexisting simultaneously in a number of what might be called parallel reality experiences, whether physical or non-physical, doesn't matter. Whether third dimensional, fourth dimensional, fifth dimensional, sixth dimensional, doesn't matter. But that you begin to comprehend that there are a number of simultaneous experiences that your total consciousness is actually having, along with this one, is the key. The idea being thus that when you tap into the concept of creative imagination, you can begin to realize that what you're actually doing is tapping into a number of different probable reality experiences that are happening, that are occurring, that a portion, in a sense, of you, or some aspect of the total you, is actually experiencing somewhere, somewhen, somehow, in some dimension of reality experience. Imagination is not truly, ultimately, totally imaginary. You cannot really imagine non-existence, so everything you do imagine exists somewhere, in some level of reality. It may not necessarily always have immediate applicability in your third dimensional reality. It may not necessarily ever manifest what you imagine in your third dimensional reality if it is not really pertinent to the physiological theme that you chose to explore for this present life. But that does not mean it is not real. The idea, therefore, to understand, however, is that there are still a number of applications that you can utilize the tapping into of these experiences for, in terms of telling stories and using it for artistic purposes to illustrate ideas and points and get notions across to individuals that will help make transformations and changes in the mind possible, to, shall we say, stimulate, either intellectually, emotionally, physiologically, whatever you wish to use it for, but creatively stimulate the idea of how to look at life from different points of view, from different perspectives, from the different parallel reality experiences that you are having as a total being simultaneously. You draw from those experiences and decide what is pertinent of those experiences to put into certain forms in this reality, to share with others or to just share with yourself, to allow yourself to know that you can be inspired by the understanding, whether conscious or unconscious, of your greater beingness, of your reflection of the infinite, in the recognition that you are gleaning these experiences and these ideas and these notions from somewhere that is really real in its own terms, in its own context. By doing this, by knowing that this is what you're doing, you will actually begin to have more conscious recognition of these parallel reality experiences and be able to draw upon them at will, as you say, to be able to look at them and scan them, if you will, to dive and delve into them, to truly tap in like a siphon, like a valve with your creative imagination and paint entire scenarios. This is done, of course, quite often when you utilize your creative abilities either in the idea of writing or art or acting or singing or dancing or any number of different things. In no way, shape, or form does this take away from the validity of the creation in here and now from your physiological perspective. We are not saying that you do nothing, that it all comes from somewhere else. It comes from the here and now as well. You, as the impetus, as the creator in this reality, are the trigger mechanism that thus then goes searching for what will work to tell the story, to tell the tale, to express the self creatively. And you are still drawing from the total self, no matter from what portion of the total self or where or when that may be. The idea simply is to understand that you're also doing this in reverse. For many of your other parallel realities, past lives, future lives, alternate dimensional experiences, you are drawing from this reality, from this life, from these experiences you are having here to paint very interesting and creative pictures for the individuals who are experiencing that reality as a unique reality. Who knows? Many of the things that you may consider to be very mundane portions of your day-to-day existence may sound like the greatest fantasy to other portions of yourself in other parallel dimensional realities. There may be individuals in those realities who hear of the tale of the ideas of large expanses of liquid water that you call oceans and say, oh, what nonsense, what a fairy tale, that is science fiction. And yet you know that this is a part of your daily routine to the point where you don't even really always pay attention to the fact that you have this huge undulating body of water, perhaps even 2 feet away, or that you may even be immersed in it, thinking of other thoughts while you're floating along in a phenomenon that may not exist in many other worlds. The idea to really understand, again, is that this is simply a point to put you in touch with your multidimensionality and to understand that you really are and to begin to experience that you really are bigger than you have known yourselves to be in the past, bigger than you have been taught to believe that you are, that you really are made in the image of the infinite creator, and that means you are multidimensional creators as well. We now would like to share with you a simple idea, a creative tool that you can use if you wish. You do not have to. And in sharing with you this idea of this creative tool, we of course will remind you in the spirit of what we are discussing, that if your imagination should in any way, shape, or form seek to change what it is we are about to suggest to you as a tool, we would strongly urge you to let it, because your imagination knows what it's doing. Your imagination is specifically vibrationally keyed and attuned to your specific chosen themes in your physiological reality of this life. So let it adjust this image and adjust this tool and this exercise in whatever way, shape, or form it sees fit, as long as you believe that it is doing so according to the idea of the strongest, most exciting creative energy, then allow it to do so. This is the tool we would like to share with you now. You may create this for yourselves in your own time, at your leisure, if you wish. We call it the Council of Nine Codex. Imagine, if you will, quite simply, the idea of a square. You may draw this, you may paint it, you may do this in whatever way, shape, or form you so desire. You may hold it in your imagination and not physicalize it at all. It is up to you. But imagine this in general or specific, if you wish. A square composed of 9 squares. As you say, 3 on top, 3 in the middle, 3 on the bottom, or 3 on the left, 3 in the middle, 3 in the right, or 3 diagonal left, 3 diagonal right. However you wish to look at it, it does not matter, but a square composed of 9 squares. 3 of the squares will be devoted to the concept of spirit. 3 of the squares will be devoted to the concept of mind. 3 of the squares will be devoted to the concept of body. If you wish, allow the 3 squares devoted to the concept of spirit to be represented by the idea of the color blue, of the mind by the idea of the color green, of the body by the idea of the color red. Now, not that the squares themselves have to be those colors, although again they can be. It is up to you. We would strongly suggest that then you take your time and play with this idea, and in each square, allow yourself to create or find a glyph, a shape, a picture, a representation for each of the 3 categories in each of the 3 squares in each of the 3 categories. For example, make, create, find 3 glyphs, shapes, pictures, or what have you, that represent the idea of 3 different aspects of spirituality, and allow them to be blue and place them in the 3 squares that you believe best represent the idea of spirituality. They do not have to be in a line. It is up to you as long as you believe you can keep track of which ones they are. 3 glyphs, 3 shapes, 3 pictures, 3 ideas that represent spirituality, 3 that represent the idea of the mind, and 3 that represent the idea of the body and or physical reality in general. When you have arranged these ideas in these squares, in this Council of 9 codex, you will have created an analogy, a symbolic mirror representation reflection of the idea of council energy, of guide energy. And you can use this literally as a glyph, as a key, as a doorway, as a window, as a gate, to tap into your creativity by meditating on it, by playing with it, by letting your imagination, as you say, run wild with how it is you wish to utilize this key, this tool. And in so doing, allowing yourself to know that you are literally tapping into the deep, deep levels of what you call your unconscious and subconscious and outer conscious awareness, and beginning to allow them to blend, beginning to allow them to integrate, beginning to allow them to make associations and to communicate in ways that they have not, to your conscious recollection, communicated in your life before. By playing with this tool, by creating this tool, this aid and assistance to you, you will find that it will begin, over time, short or long, to have the effect of opening your consciousness up to more awareness of the fact that you are literally a multidimensional being. Now, do not be alarmed if you find that these experiences, as they are accelerated within you, as your awareness becomes more sensitized, do not be alarmed if you find that this tool may have a way, as a reflector, of unlocking space and time and making it more malleable, more slippery. It is all right. You will not be lost. You will not go crazy. Allow yourself to simply understand that you are tapping into more awareness of more of yourself, and as you tap into more awareness of more of yourself, what will automatically, by definition, come with it will be all the information necessary to allow you to learn how to integrate that new information in synchronous harmony with every other aspect you also become aware of. Unless, of course, you feel that you're excited about creating the idea of having this onslaught of information in the mode of segregation, then you can do that too. The idea, however, is to simply understand that creativity is simply your expression of your understanding that you are a reflection of the infinite, not only a part of the whole. Pay attention, pay attention, pay attention. Not only a part of the whole, but at the same time, the whole expressing itself as a part. Big difference in the way many of you on your planet usually think of yourself. When you begin to act and behave that way and create the circuit of spirit, mind, and body in this modality that allows you to begin to lock that in to physical awareness, and it becomes part of your day-to-day activity, day-to-day behavior, this awareness, then you will see great accelerated changes in all aspects of your life as you then learn to creatively apply every ounce of your being, every ounce of your spirit, mind, and body to everything that you do. Because from that point forward, you will find that you will not want to do anything that is not aligned with your highest aspirations, your highest joy, your highest expression of creative light and unconditional love. It's as simple as that. We thank you for allowing us at this time to share with you these perspectives. They are simply the perspectives of our civilization. Again, we share them with you not because they are things you have to do, but because we have had fun playing with them and think that you might as well. But that is up to you. At this time, once again, in return for the gift that you are giving our civilization, in this telepathic contact and communication that is co-created between our worlds, in return for that gift, I ask you now, in what way may I and my world be of service to you?
Bashar.
You, good day.
Good day, Bashar. I'm very happy. So happy.
All right, we are very happy you are there. All right.
Thank you, Robert. Oh, the microphone wasn't on. I have a little hole on my cheek,
Yes.
and I recall at some point I had one on my nose. And the one on my nose I thought was something really awful and had 3 surgeries done on it. It really kind of annoys me to think maybe this was a scoop mark and I didn't understand it. Are these scoop marks?
No.
Okay, so then what I did was appropriate. Okay.
Whether or not they were in your nomenclature scoop marks, what you decided to do, if that was your decision, then it was appropriate.
It was. It was. Can you tell me what they are? Just cellular behavior that's out of the ordinary?
In a sense, yes. Due to imbalances within the system, from time to time, you will find that cellular cohesion will be at various times stronger or weaker within the body and may cause certain forms of what you would call pitting in the cellular structure of the skin.
I want to have my skin be beautiful and smooth. My desire is that this will not, there will not be any pits. So I'm working on that now.
All right.
I'd like to ask you about something called Kolob. I think it's a region or a location. I was reading last night in J.J. Hurtak's book, The Keys of Enoch. He talks of Kolob being, I think he says, the central sun or the great central sun.
Understood.
I remember hearing something about this in LDS literature. Can you tell me about it, please? It's a very tremendous...
there are many different ways to understand the concept of what you are referring to as a central sun. It can be referred to as that central gravimetric phenomenon that exists within interdimensional space around which all gravimetric dynamic tensor fields are generated and rotate around this central body of influence that, shall we say, determines the field strength patterns and the matrix patterns of how physiological reality and multidimensional universal realities are laid out. A central attractor, if you will. A central governing system and or matrix of space-time fabric that allows physical reality to be expanded or stretch out in ways that will promote the creation of linear space-time perceptions. Is this making any sense to you in your language?
I'm a little overwhelmed. It's more than I guess I don't understand it as well as I thought I might. Can you...
What is it about this concept that seemed to draw your curiosity? In that you would thus then ask this question. Perhaps by approaching it from that field, we will understand exactly what level to tap in on that will perhaps make the best sense to you for your application in your own personal reality. Why are you attracted to ask about this?
I guess because...
Are you feeling the pull of the central sun in that sense?
That may be. I guess my question is, I have this intuitive feeling that at some point we will, I'm not sure how to put this exactly. I'm
collapse into it?
Yes.
In a linear sense, this is a probable reality. The idea, of course, is that everything is infinite. You don't necessarily have to remain within the limited field of understanding that there will simply be an end with the collapse of a reality into what you would call the central sun. That will happen, in a sense, as we have discussed in simultaneous reality. It is happening right now. But again, it doesn't mean that it is necessarily an end to anything, per se, except perhaps a very limited section of space-time reality. Does that make any sense to you?
It's more clear.
Let's put it this way, metaphorically. It functions as an attractor in the sense, on what you would call a metaphysical level, of that urge to discover the whole self, to pull you toward more of yourself, because the idea of what you have referred to as collapse into the central sun is a metaphor for the idea of total integration into the oneness of all that is. Do you understand it from that point of view?
I like that much better. That feels good.
All right. Does that help you then?
It helps me a great deal. I believe I'm going to be playing with this for some time and
all right.
hopefully understanding more and more over time. I've had a desire to work with the Robert Monroe program, the out-of-body stuff. And
All right, you go have a good time.
Okay.
I need nothing about this to comment upon.
My reason for commenting upon this is that I read a lot of different material, and I'm not sure where I got it, but I did get some sort of negative stuff from one of the sources.
Negative stuff.
Okay.
Fine. Negative
All right.
stuff.
I guess I started to go into fear.
Oh,
and
right.
I don't want to deal with fear. I prefer to have joy.
You need to deal with it.
Well,
you
I
don't
prefer...
necessarily need to experience it,
Yes.
but if you do in fact then need to deal with it, for you do not want to go into denial.
I prefer to live through joy.
All
It's a lot
right.
more fun.
Then if you experience fear, allow yourself to know you are experiencing fear within your joy so that it can be transformed more quickly.
That sounds like a very good idea.
So, would you like to be more specific about what you experienced as the idea of fear?
One of the books that I have been reading indicates that, I guess because of the law of attraction, if there are latent fears or whatever within our consciousness when we do this out-of-body stuff,
Yes.
the fact that that the mental realm, I hope I'm putting this clearly, operates so much more quickly that if the mind thinks of negative or fearful stuff, then you get that experience really fast.
Yes.
And
so, what's wrong with that?
I hadn't been looking forward to that.
All right, then look backwards to it.
Okay.
Now, I ask you again, what's wrong with that?
It's not a matter of wrong, it's a matter of preference.
Yes.
Preference.
Well, if it happens, obviously in that sense, there was some aspect of it you preferred. If only to attract it into yourself to learn how to transform it into something else.
Yes.
So if you approach it with that attitude to begin with,
Okay.
that no matter what it is and how you experience it, it is there based on your at least general, if not specific, preference to deal with a certain aspect of what it represents to you, then you will be using it in a positive way and automatically transform the feeling into something more positive. Do you understand what we have said?
Yes, and I think that's the way to approach this.
Again, remember, you must make a friend of the unknown. You must make a friend of your fear. And if you find that fear comes up, dive into it head first. Invite it. Amplify it. Know that it is there to teach you something that has been hidden from yourself for a long time. And as soon as you treat it with that degree of respect, it will no longer need to remain in the mode in which it originally came. Because it will have done its job and delivered its message.
So it's really the resistance that's creating
Exactly so.
Okay.
Good insight.
Thank you, Bashar.
It is only resistance that creates out-of-tunement with the self, and it is out-of-tunement with the self that is what you experience in your physical body as the sensation of fear.
So therefore, when I feel the fear, that says, bingo, you're doing it. This
When you
is the
feel
clue.
the fear, it means you are experiencing your energy as being filtered through definitions that are out of alignment with your true self.
Okay.
So find out what those definitions are, change them to be more in alignment with what you believe definitions would be, and then allow yourself to filter your energy through that. It will be experienced then as joy.
And can I do that immediately by saying my intention is, boom, this, that, or the other? And
Only if you are not stating an intention that by definition seeks to avoid the experience. Other than that,
But
no.
I could state my intention is to transform this
But
and
that's
learn.
automatic. You don't need an intention to transform it. Do you understand? That's automatic, and that may be where many of you, shall we say, get into trouble, thinking that that's what you need to intend. Transforming it is automatic. You don't need to intend that. By focusing on the idea that what you most want to do is transform it, you're actually saying what I most want to do is not experience it,
Avoid, right.
which is exactly what sticks you to the experience.
Yeah.
So the idea is that your intention is to find out what it is about, why it is there, why it manifested in the way that it did. Then transformation is automatic. You don't need to intend transformation. Remember, fourth law of creation. Change is the only constant. You don't need to intend change. That's automatic. Do you understand?
Yes.
So all you need to do is intend that you realize that you are creating the reflection for a reason and intend to use it in a positive way by seeking to understand what it is reflecting to you. And then when you glean the information, as we have said, transformation is automatic. Does that help you?
It helps a great deal. Thank you.
Thank you. You. Good day.
Bashar,
Dad.
I'm very excited to share with you an experience. And
Go right ahead.
this actually started. You and I spoke in April, and you were not able to give me information at that time, and I now truly understand why that is.
All right. If you wish, you may define more specifically.
Okay. We're putting together a dream retreat called the Dream and the Dreamer.
All right.
A week before doing this retreat, I reread The Right Use of the Will.
All right.
And had an enormous shift. Read it, soaked it, just was with it.
Thank you for creating a shift within your consciousness. Proceed.
Okay. We created a lot of processes that started Friday, Saturday, working up to what we were calling a ceremony of dream space on Saturday evening.
All right.
An initiation process of some fire breath that my partner put the 10 participants through, which was a cleansing.
All right.
And then we entered into this place of dream space where everybody had an opportunity to be a dreamer and to hold the other's dreams.
Guys.
And we had decided that we would also participate in this process to complete the circle. And I was sharing my dream and was realizing that I was creating a family amongst all of these participants, being my dream. And one of our participants has cerebral palsy.
All right.
And I've worked with him for many, many years. And sometimes when he talks, he has a very difficult time. And sometimes when he talks, it's almost like I can hear God speaking through him.
Understood.
Because he's just got a beautiful soul. And when he shared his dream, and he stood in front of me, being a dream holder in this process, I had shared that information with him. When it was time for me to go around to each participant after sharing my dream, I stood in front of one of our people who assist us, and she opened my heart with the things that she said to me. And the next person that I stood in front of was this gentleman with cerebral palsy. And he started to tell me that I reminded him of Albert Schweitzer.
All right.
He had no idea that I had spent 5 years of doing research on Albert Schweitzer when I wrote a
Obviously, some portion of his consciousness had the idea.
Absolutely. In that moment, and I'd also spent my childhood doing reports on him as well. In that moment, I slipped between the cracks. I felt...
Congratulations.
Thank you. It was as if this impulse had just... My heart had been open from standing in front of this other person. And I just felt this bolt go through me. I was in the jungles with Schweitzer. Every moment of my existence synthesized in that moment.
Yes. That's because you fell into yourself, your true self. That's what slipping between the cracks in that sense means. Into the cracks is slipping into yourself.
Okay, then I went to bed.
Do you understand that?
Yes. I don't need to understand it. I experienced it.
All right. Then you do understand it.
Yes.
Experience and understanding are the same thing.
Yes, yes. That evening I went to bed quite full of myself, you could say.
In a sense.
And in the middle of the night, I was not sure if I was dreaming or if I was awake because we had been working with bridging those ideas together.
Yes.
So I cannot tell you. And I felt...
I do not ask you.
Okay. I felt this bolt go through me again.
Yes.
And it was as if all of the creations had gone out into the universe. And at that moment, my logical brain wanted to dismiss it all. This had been like...
That is all right. You can allow it its due.
Yeah.
And then you can get on with whatever else it is you wish to do.
Well, the synchronicities just continue to just play themselves out. The clarity and the beauty of living from that place.
And so?
And so it was exceedingly exciting.
And still is.
It is truly to just see this synthesis.
Thank you.
And
Congratulations.
And I'm curious, was there something in the moment when I asked you to comment many, many months ago, and you were not able to comment? Was that because that experience was already germinating, and that was because I don't think anybody.
But we could not allow ourselves to know that at the time, because we cannot interfere with your own chosen processes.
Because it truly felt like that connection also with the divine as well, and continues to feel as if the
As we have said, there is no difference. You are a part of the whole, and also the whole expressing itself as a part.
And I'm wondering, I mean, I know on certain levels what my fascination and why I've been attracted.
One moment before you continue.
Yes.
Back up, as you say, in your language and pay attention to what you have just said. Because now there is another way to understand the meaning in your language of the concept of wondering. You are now, through this experience, truly more in a state of wonderment, as opposed to allowing yourself to define wondering as not knowing.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes, yes.
You are now, by being more centered with yourself, capable of being more wondering.
Yes.
In the sense of it as a verb, as you say. You are now capable of wondering, creating wonder. You understand it?
Yes. I believe... Wait, I'm going to backtrack with you here.
All right. When you first said, and I was wondering, to some degree, you were using it in the old context of believing that you do not know what you actually do know.
Yes, because in that same moment that you were doing that, I was looking at my own question.
Yes.
And being able to
find the answer within.
Correct.
And as such, then, you can understand that any time you choose to wonder, you can use the other side of the coin of wonderment and realize that within your wonderment of asking, there is the wonder of the answer itself immediately.
Yes. Yes. Well, anyways, Bashar,
yes.
I thank you immensely because...
we thank you for allowing us to reflect to you what you already knew, but we thank you for taking it to heart and applying it in your reality to get the effect.
Yes. It was a beautiful experience and it still continues.
Thank you.
Bashar.
You! Good day.
Good day. I discovered you about 3 weeks ago and some
Where was I?
floating around in my room, your voice, and a tape was given to me, and I was very enthusiastic after I listened to it. And I really appreciated what you talked about earlier, because I am a painter, and I've been painting for 17 years. I'm an artist.
All right.
And what you said at the beginning of this session was very appropriate for the process I'm going through.
Thank you for your co-created synchronicity.
Yes, thank you for being there. And I'm here to ask you to help me with some healing I'm going through.
All
because
right. What nature?
Manifesting myself more succinctly, with more abundance.
Right.
One of the things that excite me about what you say is this idea of manifesting your excitement. I've done that throughout my life, and as a result, I've had a very exciting life in a lot of ways. I've really manifested things that I've wanted to do. I wanted to paint, and I came to LA, and I became a painter, and
right.
I wanted to sing, and in 2 years after I made the decision, I'd sung in all these amazing places. I wanted to teach. I've taught in some of the best places.
All right.
So, I mean, it's true.
Yes, we know.
Yes. But the one thing I haven't been able to manifest...
Oh, that's the big but, as you say in your language.
Well, it's not a but, because I've never had a lot of excitement about it.
Well, then.
But it's money.
So?
I cannot manifest money, and it's beginning to get in my way.
Are you saying that you have never manifested any?
No, I have. Yes.
All right, then you have just told a lie.
No, because I'm in deficit. I'm in debt. So there have been times when I have manifested it, but I've had to go into debt to do
All
it.
right.
So
what this simply takes is you applying all the experience you have had in all these other areas where you feel you are abundant, and applying the same, shall we say, logistics to this area rather than applying the definitions you were raised to believe.
Right, and this is where I need the healing, because I understand this and I have made efforts. I've said, okay, this year I am just going to focus on getting my money together, and I got even deeper in debt.
Okay.
So there
are a number of ways to do this, and different ways can work differently for different people.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not in touch with what the definitions, the fundamental blueprint definitions are within your consciousness, then certain techniques may not necessarily work for you until you clarify what those definitions are, and it is clarification that you require in terms of what you are referring to as a healing.
Right, and
so
that's
look
exactly
at it again
right.
from this fundamental point of view.
Yes.
As we have said a few times, when individuals are growing up on your planet, they are usually tutored in a variety of ways of defining and looking at certain concepts on your planet, such as the idea of abundance, no matter in what form it may come. Money, of course, is only one form of abundance, and it only exists on certain planets at certain times. It isn't everywhere, but if it is on your planet, it is valid for what it is. But again, look at many of the belief system patterns that you are, as you say, spoon-fed while you are growing up. Number one, without money you will never be a success. Number two, money is the root of all evil. How do you reconcile these diametrically opposed belief systems that you are told you must believe in equally?
I enjoy, when I have money, I enjoy it. I don't feel it's an evil thing.
But that is not what we are saying. The point is that you are making certain associations to certain circumstances and situations that is allowing you to define them in a way that is not allowing you to flow.
Yes, I understand that.
It is this kind of definitional system that you are dealing with.
That's the healing I need, because I'm in a program now that is helping me get to the root of and
there's that word again, the root.
The root, and I'm also thinking that it's less about the money and more about being able to be able to take care of myself or be taken care of.
All right. Now, again, you have already just given, in a sense, a kind of contradiction.
Okay.
It's about money. It's not so much about the money. Do you see? It's about money. It's not so much about the money. This is what you just did. So, pay attention to what you're doing. You yourself are playing, as you say on your planet, a game of ping pong with your belief systems about what you think is supposed to be the focus. Abundance literally just is, by definition, the ability to do what you need to do when you need to do it, whether it takes money or not. It can bring money into your life, but it isn't always necessary. The idea is to understand that you need to relax your definition of what you think you need in order to allow what you do need to come to you. And abundance, in whatever form it needs to come, will only come to the same degree that you are willing to express yourself in the sense of being expanded in the thing you love to do. And it always takes doing the thing you love to do, or doing things in a way you love to do them, in the most exciting way you can imagine, that will allow your flow of abundance to become along the path of least resistance. Are you following this?
Yes.
One moment. The idea, therefore, is to begin to relax all your definitions of abundance. Let them melt, let them flow, let them dissolve. And as we have said in the last communication, what you call last night of your time, if at first you don't succeed, redefine success. You understand? Not try again. Redefine success. Because you are successful already. Always have been, all of you. From, as you say, day one, moment one. You are successful. There is nothing you are not successful at. You succeed at every single thing you choose to do. Now pay attention to that phrase. It's critical for you, and maybe for more than just you. You all succeed at everything, totally, completely, and absolutely, that you choose to do. Everything that happens is the product of a choice. Every choice you make is based on a motivation to make that choice. Every motivation is based on a definition that makes it seem to be the thing to be motivated to choose. So, the basic fundamental beginning question is, can you allow yourself to begin more and more and more and more often, in fact, ultimately, every moment, to apply all the creativity that you are used to using in certain areas to every area of your life, without exception? Can you define everything that exists in your reality from that same pinnacle of ecstasy, from that same state, that same ecstatic state you say you are used to when you're doing something that you typically define as that which I love to do, but then deign not to allow yourself to define other things that way? Is this making some sense so far?
Yeah.
I'll put it to you this way.
Okay.
Name a thing that in some sense you believe, truly believe, is what you would call, quote-unquote, a necessity of life that you do not necessarily enjoy doing in an ecstatic state.
Doing things I don't necessarily want to do for money.
Name something. Be specific.
Temp jobs.
Temp jobs.
Temporary jobs in...
Temporary jobs.
Yes.
Can you be more specific?
Well, I've had some jobs that I love right now. Right now I'm working...
Name something you are doing now. Since now is all there is, name something you are doing now that you are doing not in a state of ecstasy that you believe is a necessity.
Oh, looking for work.
Looking for work.
Mm-hmm.
I see.
Looking for money. Looking for
money.
Looking for money.
Go to a bank. If that's all you're doing, go to a place where money is stored and then look at it. And then you will have accomplished that idea.
Looking for money in my purse is more like it.
Oh, all right.
Looking for money in my bank account is more like it. And there's different ways.
But you're not really being specific enough.
Well, there are different ways I have of bringing money to me,
yes.
But I can't seem to bring enough to me.
That is because of what we are saying, but you're not yet getting the point, and your definition is not yet clear, which is an indication that your fundamental beliefs are not yet clear about this.
Right.
In other words, you seem to be having difficulty answering the simple question, and that means that your definitions are clouded. You have not yet actually named an actual activity that you find is not being done through your ecstasy. Name an activity that you are doing that you think is necessary, but you wish were not. Specifically.
Worrying about money.
No. No.
A job?
Yes. What are you doing specifically?
Right now I'm not working. I'm doing what I want to do right now, which is paint.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
This is what you want to do.
Yes.
This is
one of the things I want to do.
Here's the question from this perspective. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Pay attention. Are you paying attention?
Yep.
All right. Just checking.
I'm here.
All right. We'll see about that. In some senses, you may not be. And that may be, in your terms, the difficulty.
It could be.
Because you may not really totally be here. And here comes the question.
Right.
When you paint, are you totally, absolutely present? Hesitation usually means no.
Sometimes I am. When I start, no. As I get into it, yes.
All right.
And then if I'm not doing well,
you are, as you say, into it, you could say that at that moment, you know what that feels like. You are absolutely, totally present, as you say in your language, in the flow.
Right.
Being your true self and acting on your highest ecstatic joy at that moment. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Now, here it comes.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you stop?
Because...
Watch it.
Because...
Watch it. Why do you remove yourself from that state? No matter what else it is that might need doing, why do you remove yourself from that state before you do it?
Oh, because of past experience.
No excuse anymore. No excuse. The past does not create the present.
Well,
The present creates the past. Pay attention to this. It is powerful and profound as a tool.
Mm-hmm.
If you learn to do this, all of your abundance difficulties will dissolve. The present is the point of power. The present is the point of power. The past is the result of what you define the present to be, not the reverse. So, if you sense or experience that your energy shifts because you choose to do a different thing, you are bringing into that experience a definition that says you are motivated to descend in your energy level. And that reinforces that the only way from that point forward you will experience the doing of that thing will be on a lower energy level. And you will not be able, not only to experience, but you will not even be able to perceive how you could experience otherwise the doing of that thing in a more effortless, ecstatic, and creative way. And, of course, a more abundant one. You have to catch yourself at that moment when you choose to leave that state, because you're defining that the next thing you're going to do isn't equally worthy of what you were just doing. When you remain in that state for anything that you choose to do, you will be capable of perceiving the essential things that need to be done in order to get done what needs to be done in the path of least resistance, in the least complicated way. And that is what will allow that thing to be done, if in truth it needs to be done at all. And that's another determination you need to make within your own honesty. If in truth it needs to be done at all, it will then be capable of being done in concert with any other thing that you do that you feel you are willing to do in a state of ecstasy. If you are not the reality state first, it is impossible for you to experience the benefit that could come to you from that situation that would be concurrent with the state you say you want to live in. You cannot perceive a reality you are not the vibration of. The opportunities that would be there to you as a person, that would be representative of ecstatic, non-resistant abundance, the opportunities that would be there will be invisible to you in that circumstance if you don't enter the circumstance from that state. And you will not see how it will be possible for you to make what you need to make in that situation. And by staying in the appropriate state of ecstasy, which is your natural state, the state in which you were originally created, so to speak, just to speak linearly for a moment for the purposes of clarification. If you were to remain in that state, to choose to be in that state, you may then also be shown by the synchronicity of your life that certain things you think you need to do, you don't need to do in order to be effortlessly abundant. It can come to you in any number of ways when you are in the state in which your reality can reflect to you what those ways and avenues are. But if you are smiling into the mirror while you're painting, but then change your face to a frown, you cannot get anything but the reflection of a frown in the mirror in the next moment. If you don't allow yourself to remain in the state that allows you to smile, the mirror has no power to give you the reflection of a smile in return. You have to smile first. You cannot insist, I will smile when the mirror smiles back first. I will be happy if. I will be happy when. I will be happy because that's what I prefer. And when you do it because there is no other reason to do it, pay attention to that, No other reason that you connect to it to make it conditional happiness. When you do it unconditionally, you will get the reality that supports the image you are giving off. Because physical reality is nothing but a mirror, a reflection of what you give off. So you need to catch yourself at those moments and say, why did I stop smiling? Why did I lower my energy just because I am now doing something else? That's when you can allow yourself to get in touch with the definitions you have been brought up with that say, this means this and this means that, and when you have to do this, then you must behave this way, and when you do this, you have to do that.
You sound like my
so
mom.
Yes. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Yes. Now you're beginning to remember where you learned these things.
Oh, I know where I learned them.
But you don't know all the levels of what you learned.
But I'm beginning to see, even as you're talking to me,
Yes.
that just the thought of having to go out and get money freezes me up.
Then let the thought go.
Right.
You don't have to go and get money.
Right.
Abundance will naturally be where it needs to be when you stop needing to have it and simply be who you are. Because who you are, all of you, who you are, is an automatic, complete, self-contained kit for living. You already contain everything you need to attract to yourself everything you need to be yourself. So if you just be yourself, your life will automatically, synchronistically contain all the things that will help you to continue to be you. Where you get into trouble is when you are not being you.
Or uncomfortable with who you are. I mean, that's what
That's
the recovery.
the same difference.
Right, exactly.
Why would you be uncomfortable being what you were designed to be?
Well, upbringing, childhood.
But that's what we are saying.
Right.
Because you understand that you are not being you. And that you have been given reasons to not be you. That you have, for some reason, decided to buy into more powerfully than what you know to be true for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's as simple as that.
Oh, no.
You are already abundant. All of you understand this from all the levels you possibly can. This is important. You already have been given everything. Creation exists. You have everything at your disposal. You have already been given every possible thing you could imagine that would apply in your life. You have already been given it. You already have it. You do. Really. Honestly, this is not a trick. You actually already have it. This is not a play on your words. You actually already have it. What you're going through is not a process of learning how to get it. You're going through a process of learning to recognize that you already have it. And when you learn to recognize you already have it, you'll see it. Because it's always been there. That's the difference. When you are taught that you have to go through step A, B, C, D, and go through all these processes in order to achieve your goal out there someday, somewhere, who knows, in the future. You will dutifully go about doing that, but you will never understand you already have it. Process is the amount of time you believe you need before you will be willing to give yourself permission to see the obvious.
Oh, it's very true.
So, take that to heart and allow yourself to relax into these definitions we have shared now, and you will find yourself unlocking and not resisting your natural self a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And then you will begin to really experience the abundance you already have. Does that help you?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You. Good day.
Good day. It's nice to hear you again.
And you as well.
Thank you. The last two times you gave me some information was so right on. I felt like you were in my house and in my car. And I appreciate that. and I hope to get that again tonight.
You hope.
I will get that again tonight.
Because who will be giving it to you?
Myself.
Thank you. Now you will get it clearly.
Thank you. A couple of months ago in Thousand Oaks, you did a thing with my hands, you know?
Yes.
And it's like I didn't need any vitamins or supplements after that for, you know, anymore. But now I'm seeming to need them again.
I see.
And I'm seeming to need more.
Then do the thing with your hands yourself.
Well, you just squeezed. I think you just squeezed my.
No, I didn't just squeeze. I used the channel's body to allow your energy to amp itself up closer to the level of the frequency upon which I exist. That's why, by allowing yourself to go closer to your true, natural, centered, accelerated vibration, you did not need symbolic support systems. You were willing to support yourself.
So the way to do it myself would be become more and more myself, which I'm doing now.
Yes.
And holding my hands in that place. And
it is up to you, the methodology that you and your imagination thinks is best. But the idea is to understand that that's what you're doing. It's simply taking more responsibility. You are creating more ability to respond to your true self. And that's what allows you to do it. More in the sense internally, rather than requiring what.
That's what's been happening lately. And I had an experience.
It's been happening early, too.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, it has. I went on an interview for a job the other Friday. Interview. Yes, the director looked at me and said something. Anyway, so then, yes, interview. That's right. So anyway, when I was leaving there, I started getting into this frantic thing like, I'm going to have that job, I want that job, I'm going to get that job. Frantic and like, you know, I'm going to get that job. And then I went through this process where I really looked at that franticness and I turned it around and became really powerful. And then I said, of course I'm going to get that job. I attracted it in the first place. And I felt I am the job. I was the job in the first place.
Do you see how easy it is to derail you?
Yes.
All it took was and off the track you went.
No, I just played with you.
The idea, first of all, again, is to remember that while it is all well and good for you to utilize the concept of that job as a symbol of a vibration you prefer, the idea of insisting that that must come to fruition is a denial of the fact that your excitement might in fact take you elsewhere. That's all we are saying. The job might manifest in that sense if it is truly in the moment representative of your highest excitement, but to insist upon it with your power is actually to contradict your self-empowerment. Because the idea is that your excitement might come from another direction that is really more representative of higher expansion, and it may not be that job. It might not be. That's all we are saying. So don't insist that that must be the representation just because it's the representation of the moment. Remember, many things excite you just to get you to move in a certain direction, not because the thing that excites you has to come to some logical conclusion. Because many times, many of you, because of your resistance to yourself, will not move in that direction unless there is a carrot dangling in front of your face that says, oh yes, if you take the step, I'll give you the carrot, I promise. And then you find out, oh, I didn't get the carrot, I'm so disappointed, what's wrong with me, life doesn't work. The idea to understand is that many times you give yourself that carrot because it's the only way you'll take the step, and taking the step is what was important, not getting the carrot. That's all we are saying.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes complete sense. Thank you very much. But what that did for me is to get me to process the desperation and fear and anxiety to power. And then I felt...
In that sense, you used the situation well. You understood that that is how to use it. Yes.
Yeah, and then when I felt really powerful, my pager went off and I got the job.
Yes.
And I thought, wow. You know, I mean, it was just the transformation.
Yes,
and
congratulations on using it that way.
Yeah. And
Very good.
Thank you. And I felt like I felt like myself. I felt completely like myself.
So. When you are yourself, these things happen automatically because you already, as we said, contain everything that you need. And everything that is truly, at that moment, representative of your highest vibration cannot help but manifest. It doesn't have the capacity to contradict you when you are actually your true self. The contradictions only appear to happen when you are not being you, and that's the signal that you're not being yourself.
And so what that job did is it pointed out something deep inside of me that was keeping me from being my true self. It was a gift, brought it up, and then
and you turned it around.
I turned it
by
around.
By using it in a positive and constructive way, yes.
I got my son a car, and
all right.
Well, I wanted him to wait until we got the money, but he wanted to go. I didn't listen to my intuition. I went to a car dealer, and we got a car, which he's now driving. But I haven't paid the guy yet. And the thing, you know, I've changed my relationship with money, and I have a lot of fun attracting it, and I don't feel, you know.
But do you feel that you went against the grain of your true intuition?
I did at that point, and now I find that I'm being brought down in the vibration of my old relationship with money.
All right, but of course you are choosing to. You're not being brought down. You are choosing to match that frequency, yes? You understand?
Yes, I understand.
And so, pay attention. If you say you understand, pay attention to what it is you say you understand. We are giving you an opportunity to reverse it here, and you haven't accepted the opportunity. If I am telling you that it is not that you are being brought down by the energy, but that you are choosing to go down, that means that you are in your power because it's your choice. And by understanding, oh yes, I remember I am choosing to go down, all of a sudden you come back up because you remember you chose to go down, which means you can choose to come up.
And deal with it from a totally different place. Yes, because that situation taught me in other circumstances that I have met since that situation to just stay in a real positive place, even though I could have gone down and vibrated at that level. I just and things worked out really good.
Why not remain in the positive vibration? Why not?
Exactly, just like you were talking to her about the painting.
Yes.
You know, why do you have to go?
All the same idea. Everyone has their own style of artistic expression, even if you never pick up a paintbrush.
Okay, and the last thing...
And remember, life is art.
Yes, it is. The last thing, I know you've talked to a million people about this, but I haven't been coming...
Have you been counting?
Actually, I have. It wasn't actually a million. It was about 100,997.
I see.
But see, I wasn't here, and I didn't hear the answer.
All right. Perhaps I should speak to the Association of Worlds to hire you as our bookkeeper.
Oh, God, please don't do me that favor.
I forgot. We don't have any books.
Oh, thank God. I'm not good. I'm enumerate. Some people are illiterate. I'm enumerate.
Oh, all right. And yet you did very well coming up with the number you came up with.
Well, that was my imagination.
So it is still a beautiful number.
Thank you. I'm glad you like it. It's kind of cool.
So do proceed.
Okay. Well, anyway, I listened to the 3 tapes of Major Ed Dames, and he assured us that this is exactly what's going to happen.
You already understand the answer to this. We have discussed this many times.
Like I said, I didn't hear it, but let me tell you what I'm feeling.
Oh, all right. Go right ahead and tell me what you are feeling.
I'm feeling great. That's his reality.
Yes, of course, obviously. Otherwise, he'd probably be saying other things.
And I do not have to vibrate in that reality.
No, you do not.
No, it doesn't have to be my reality.
You can recognize what portions of the idea may or may not be representative of a general consensus reality, but that still doesn't necessarily mean to a great degree that you have to choose to vibrate in accordance with anything that you find is simply not in alignment with your preferred vibration. And then even if the majority of individuals on your planet do agree to go along with any particular consensus reality format that someone may suggest, that still doesn't mean, even though you may be capable of observing it happening all around you, that you will experience it directly to yourself in a detrimental way. Whatever channel you are on is the program you will get.
Just like with the car dealer, I chose to go down there and vibrate again.
Of course.
And my last thing is,
last thing.
I would like some homework from you, or some.
I have already shared the idea of homework in the Council of Nine Codex we described at the beginning of this communication.
Well, I was late and I missed
Well,
it
you
again.
can get it from someone else.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You and then you. Number 2, do you know who you are?
Yes, he does.
All right. Good day.
Good day. I have 2 questions. The first
insist.
one, I may change to 3.
All
I was listening to late night radio talk show the other night. I believe it was Richard Hoagland. And
I understood.
I was laying in bed and...
You were lying in bed.
Okay. Lying. I was horizontal. And then I seem to be in somewhat of an
Are you
altered...
bringing the energy down to your level again?
No, I'm bringing it up. I feel better.
Oh, all right. You know we are playing with you, yes?
Yes, of course.
And I think I was awake, but yet in an altered state.
Understood.
And there were these discs of light that I seemed to be perceiving that were moving up and down my arms, through my head and torso,
All right.
down my legs, and it seemed like I was being lifted off the bed.
In a sense, yes, though not what would be perceived in your physiological reality as such, but in that you were transferring your physicality, shifting it to a higher frequency and becoming, in a sense, somewhat less materialized. It could literally be said that you were no longer in contact with the physiological bed or the physiological realm in which the bed exists, and thus giving yourself the sensation of levitation. Now, that shifting of energy can be used, can be directed to literally manifest the idea of what you call levitation. But in this case, you simply experienced the first stage of that idea by recognizing that you had shifted away from, to some degree, the physical reality, which gave you the interpretation that you had levitated away from the physical surface. Does that make sense to you?
Yes. The only part of me that didn't seem to lift off the bed was my butt. Everything else, my feet were going up, my arms were going up, my torso and head were going up. There seemed to be some lead in my bottom or something.
All right.
And my question regarding this is there some focus on paying attention to this that would be of value?
Yes, although it doesn't necessarily have to be anything that you would consider to be exceedingly profound. The idea simply is, perhaps, that you have a certain point of view of yourself, how you regard yourself as a physiological being that may have translated into a need to remain in contact, in a sense, so to speak, seated, firmly seated in a reality that you consider to be important to you at the time. So it may have translated into an apparent reluctance for all of you to, shall we say, lift to that vibrational frequency. Does that make sense to you?
Yes. So by kind of minding this, attending to it, being aware of this,
by changing how you see yourself, how you view your idea of yourself as a physiological being, you can smooth this effect out if you wish, yes.
Okay.
Although sometimes you may still in other ways wish to, for a while, maintain some sense or idea or symbol of connection until you feel certain that you're actually not going to disconnect from the reality.
Good. Okay.
So, as long as you feel that this experience is like, shall we say, flying by the seat of your pants, you may allow yourself to remain anchored until you know that you can always choose where and when you are without any worry about, shall we say, getting back, so to speak.
Okay.
Does that make sense to you?
Yes. Yes. Good.
And so, what else?
The second question is, I'm studying reverse speech.
All right.
And
or
also,
all if you wish.
Yes, forward and backward.
Backward and forward.
It is said in reverse speech that when we hear our reversals, it is the 95% of the mind that is unconscious to us, basically, that is speaking. And it tells the...
In some senses, although this is a great generality, there are other levels of the consciousness that are also involved, but as a general overview, as a general nomenclature, this is accurate.
And as we go into deeper levels of the unconscious,
Yes.
metaphors appear.
And metaphies.
Very good. And I was reading an article by a clinical psychologist who is studying extraterrestrial symbology and language,
Yes.
and I noticed some of the same metaphors there,
Yes.
with particularly the metaphor of the whirlwind, which comes up in reverse speech quite often in every language that we've looked at so far.
It is the presentation of one of the fundamental structures of physiological reality. It is often translated in your language as the creation spiral.
Yes. And also the goddess appears
Yes.
in every language that we've looked at so far,
Yes.
as well as the wolf.
Yes.
And I read another article by a gentleman by the name of Robert Morningsky,
Yes.
and this gets to the point of my question.
Oh, all right. Thank you.
And that is, where do these metaphors come from? Morningsky seems to indicate that these are part of energetic substances that are from other places in other kinds of realities, other planetary systems, other dimensions,
Yes.
that are giving their information into us?
In a sense, yes, this is true. But the idea is that what is happening is that by being aware of the fact that you also contain these other realities, these other dimensions, and by perceiving this as a communication or a pattern of information, so to speak, in the sense that information is a pattern of energy, you are allowing your collective consciousness, what might be called the archetypal level, the symbolic archetypal level of consciousness, to create versions of these concepts that you can relate to as a collective consciousness, and then even perhaps breaking it down further into individually representational symbols that can be specific to a particular person perceiving it. Did that make sense to you?
Yes.
So it is both. You are creating them out of the archetypal stream. This doesn't mean that they are not autonomous unto themselves. And at the same time, you are recognizing that you are creating your version of what you are perceiving as information coming from elsewhere, so to speak, as well. It is both. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
There are some things, of course, which are, shall we say, coming to you from other dimensions, which have more or less ability to be translated in your archetypal stream. Some things do not necessarily greatly apply to your reality. But as you expand your awareness, and as you, along with your maintenance of individuality, tap into the collective consciousness more and more broadly, you will begin to also perceive a few new archetypal presentations that you, in the past, were not capable of understanding, for which there was no translation, because there was no need for a translation. Now that you're thinking of yourselves more as multidimensional beings, you will be also open to creating versions of things that are coming from elsewhere that also have meaning and bearing and a reason to be projected through your archetypal consciousness into symbology that you can use to apply these lessons to your physiological day-to-day reality. So you will start to see new presentations as well, some of which are the very idea of what you call us, and that is the concept of extra-dimensional or extraterrestrial beings. That in and of itself is something that you now see proliferating throughout the consciousness of your society, along with concepts that we discussed before, parallel lives, parallel dimensions of reality, all sorts of space-time anomalies. All these different ideas are new archetypal presentations of things that have been coming to you for a long time, but for which, in a sense, your society had no need to symbolize. But now you are finding more reasons to do so. Does that make sense to you?
Yes. The last part of the question is, I was thinking with the kind of the homework assignment that you gave at the beginning with the squares, that it might be an interesting thing to use some of these metaphors that are in my particular reversals.
Absolutely.
In some of those squares.
Absolutely.
Because they're already operating in me.
Yes. See what you get. Play with it in any way, shape, or form your imagination gate so desires.
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 2.
Hello, Bashar.
And you
You do. I just want to know, like you said, that if you get into like trouble, there's a reason why you're not being yourself.
Yes.
Well, in the last few years, I've been at school and like I'm like a person who likes expressing their feelings and talking.
Yes.
So I always get in trouble for talking in class.
All right.
And everybody, all my teachers and everybody tries to change me. And I just want to know that when I grow up, will I be able to change the way I am?
You can change yourself to be whatever you wish to be. At the same time, you will also recognize that many of the ways that things are done on your planet will also change. So that what you now call school will not be the same in the future. And there may be different ways that individuals will be allowed to express themselves. The idea is also simply a matter of balance, of knowing that you are not, shall we say, being rude in the sense of not allowing yourself to look for why you might be doing that, in the sense that it might actually not be the best thing for you to do. But if you know that there are also times when it is important that you do so, then you yourself, when you grow up, or even sooner than that, might be responsible for creating some of the new ideas and the new ways that school will be experienced, that learning will be experienced later on your planet. Because you may say, there is a way that this can be used in a positive way. There is a way that this idea of sharing the feelings and communication can be used, and it is not being used in all the ways that it could be being used. So I will invent a way in which it can be used so that everyone can see that, at least perhaps to some degree, there might be a way for everyone to do this, a little bit at least, and see that there might be some benefit to this instead of just saying, no, you can't do that. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Does that help you?
Yes, it does a lot. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You, good day. You can be too.
Greetings.
And to you, good day.
I spoke to you last night.
Yes. Or at least some version of you did.
And some version of you did.
Yes, exactly so. So here we are, 2 new beings from scratch.
Well, this version has come up with something about Aloysius.
Oh, all right.
I remember a song when we were kids that had that name in it. And
All right.
I could sort of remember the tune, and I think it had to do with flowers.
All right.
And then a couple ladies last night told me that the Aloysius sounds like all the wishes. And then I just thought of playing with Aloysius sounded like all that is delicious.
All right.
And that reminded me of, I was exposed to the name The Beauty Way of Native American living lately. And I was really very much heart-opening over that idea of living the beauty way.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing yourself to play with this in a creative and imaginative way. To continue to do so will open up many more blossoms of understanding and information to you in that vibrational name.
Was there one person?
There was, yes.
Can you tell me what civilization or
This is the concept of what you would call a past life of yours on Earth, linearly speaking.
Is it connected to that song we sung as kids?
No.
Okay. I wanted to share with you about what you've been talking about tonight about, and yesterday you told me about understanding. I was thinking about my toe and what we talked about.
Yes.
And at first I was thinking about the symbology of my right big toe, but besides symbology, I had been noticing for the last few years my 2 big toes, my toenail was starting to separate from the toe on one side. And I had the idea, because I'd been wearing a silver toe ring for a while, that it might have been that, so I took that off, and I had tried it on both feet, and I don't know if that had to do with it or not, but what this all made me think of was that I've been noticing that that's healing, and I've also been taking care of my teeth.
All right.
And I don't know if it was connected,
In some senses, it may have been. You may have, to some degree, impeded the idea of the circulation in your system in that area. Do you understand?
Through what was going on in my teeth.
Through the idea, first of all, of your toe.
Oh, I didn't have this toe ring on that toe.
It doesn't matter.
Oh, okay.
You may have impeded the circulation in the system. It may have been out of balance and not allowed certain nutrients to be delivered. You understand that your blood courses through your body in a certain way. And if it goes from one side to the other, if it is impeded in a certain area, it may never then reach other areas of the body, which may then begin to die. You understand?
Yeah, and it must have been like that because it didn't just start reversing when I took the ring off. It went on for, it's been years since I've worn any toe rings.
It may have created certain amounts of imbalance in that area to some slight degree. Yes.
The last thing I wanted to... when I'm going to Hawaii, can I be abducted from the airplane?
Are you asking to be?
No, but it's when I arrive there, it seems like that's when I find these marks on the back of my legs. And I'm like, it wasn't there when I left, and it's there when I get there, so I wonder if it was during the flight, because I'm a lot tired.
It is not impossible, however, it would not necessarily happen in the way that you might think within linear time. Remember, these beings have the ability to slide through the idea of what you call time and space very easily. It could be that an entire experience, an entire reality, an entire lifetime may be experienced in between what you consider to be one moment to the next. Do you understand? I'll put it to you in a very colloquial fashion. You don't necessarily have to understand this absolutely literally, but there is some literalness to this as a possibility. You could be, as you say, flying along in one of your aeroplane devices. Somebody could come in along the time stream, take you into another reality. You could be there for as long as you care to be there, or for as long as they care for you to be there. They could then, even if a week, a month, a year has gone by, put you back in from where they took you in the next moment. And so it would seem as if nothing has been broken, that nothing happened.
I understand that, yeah.
But you could have experienced an entire lifetime in between one moment and the next.
Okay, so in other words, I may or may not, that with the marks that I arrive in Hawaii...
The idea of the experience is that you are manifesting them within your own body as remembrances of marks that were placed there at other times, because the locale is reminiscent to your subconscious mind of experiences you have had there wherein the marks were given to you. So your body is, in a sense, recreating them because of the familiarity with the energy when you arrive there. You are giving yourself your badges of experience when you arrive back in the place in which those badges were first received. Do you understand? It's like a small poltergeist phenomenology within your own body. Do you understand that?
I think so.
It's like you are tattooing yourself, giving yourself your merit badges in the place in which you earned them. You allow them to fade and disappear in a place where they are not applicable. But when you go back to the place where it all comes about, then you allow yourself to let them reappear because it is natural for them to be there in that particular vibrational resonance. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Does that help you?
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you, chum. Number 2. You can be number 3. All right? All right, to you, good day.
How are you today?
Perfect, and you?
Oh, great.
Thank you.
I want to share a very profound experience I had. Profound. A couple weeks ago, I shared with you how I'm living in this no-time space, which is my...
You're living in a no-time space? How do you know it was a couple of weeks ago?
Very good point.
Oh, thank you. Just kidding. Continue.
Yes. And then I was, the next morning, before waking...
There's that time thing again.
Yes. That's the only way I can relate right here.
I understand.
And
we are just having a good time.
Time with me. Thank you. And in this state, I was being shown and experiencing this no time, everywhere at once,
yes.
The all that is.
Feels good, doesn't it?
Oh.
Exactly well put.
Oh, yes. Oh. Yeah, and I've been ecstasy. Yes, and when upon awakening, it was early in the morning, and I got up and I started writing. I went downstairs and I started writing and expressing all of it. And it just came, the whole experience I put down on paper.
Yes.
And it was very interesting because I was I was so deep into this experience that I was still not really in my reality, and even though I was in my
typical one.
In my typical one, yes. And I went to date the at the top of the page to put the date, and I could not do this, and I kept writing. And my expression was that a date, what does that mean?
Yes.
That was like, when there was time, space, and calendars.
Yes.
And then it was like, Ellie, a name. What's in the name? There is no name. I'm a spark of consciousness.
Yes. You are beginning to perceive what many spirits begin to perceive soon after what you call the moment of physical death. The idea of the physical reality becomes like unto the way you now consider spiritual reality to be. Nebulous, dreamlike. And the idea of physical reality takes on that quality, and the spirituality becomes solid and real, but in that context, there being no real sense of time-space, you all of a sudden, shall we just say for the moment, for the sake of conversation, lose that sense of the importance of dates, names, and so on and so forth.
Everything. It has no... there's nothing to tap into. It was like it was eons ago.
Yes, and in a sense it is all time and no time.
Yes.
It is ancient and it is new.
Yes.
It is simply that you know who you are, and you know where you are, and you know when you are.
Yes.
And that is, you are you, here and now. And there is nothing else that needs to be said. So no name needs to be given, no date needs to place you.
Right.
Because there is only you, here and now.
Yeah. And it was such a beautiful, beautiful experience, and it still is. I've been living in that. It is
thank you.
Phenomenal. The other thing is, getting back to space and time in this moment.
Yes.
This amber stone, very, very unusual.
In what way do you find this to be so?
Well, I have two people, and especially this woman who is taking the stones, and this is the first time I've had the amber cut. Okay,
we just what configuration?
Well, they're doing it in just sort of a free-form cabochon, but they're coming out in some triangles and different shapes, and then they're faceting them, which we've never done before. And also had some put in some little circles that I'm using in the tetrahedron. But the interesting thing that they're finding when they're working with it is that they've used many different things and they can't get it to polish. They said they've used alumina, cerium oxide. They're using a metal polish that's working, called Fabuluster, that's working better. And they've put it into a vibrating...
You must remember that this is, in your terms, living material.
Yes.
Therefore, you must, in that sense, go in a more organic direction. It is organic material, amber.
Okay.
It is, in that sense, what you call petrified tree sap.
Right.
Thus, the idea is that you will perhaps get a better idea of usage through organic oils and the like, instead of treating it like it's supposed to be a gem.
All right.
And also, in some senses, it does not necessarily require the polish you may think it does. Again, the soft, warm, organic quality can be very important in certain applications, and you don't necessarily want to give it too much of a luster, because in some senses that may take it away from what you really intended to act as in terms of its symbolic representation.
Oh, yes. Lynn mentioned that.
Yes.
That they're getting a little bit of a shine to it. But it has such beauty.
It has beauty anywhere.
Yeah, but it's sort of dull.
Yeah, what?
Well, I don't know. It just seems like the beauty of it with a very pretty polished. I can understand what you're saying.
Yes.
But I'd sort of like to see that aspect of it too.
Go right ahead. And as we have said, allow yourself the application of certain organic oils that will aid and assist you in creating certain kinds of luster.
What kind would you suggest?
Oh, let's see. One moment, please. It takes a plant to know a plant. And thus, in this sense, you may find that there are certain plant oils that may be of best benefit. One perhaps being the idea of the castor bean. Do you understand?
Castor bean? Bean?
Yes, castor bean oil.
Oh, castor bean oil. Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes.
This may be of some assistance in enticing the luster from the sap, shall we say?
Okay.
One moment. One moment. One moment. One moment. One moment. You may find that a little bit of what you call the substance in your language of peanut butter may also be of some assistance.
Peanut butter. How interesting. Okay. Peanut butter.
Explore and experiment with that, and we shall see. There may be yet another sesame oil. Also may be of some assistance. Experiment with these three and see what you get, what you consider to be the most preferable result from, and then perhaps we may guide you a little bit further than this. But there is reason for your exploration of using these three. See what you get before we go further.
Okay, then they would have to do that by hand then, not in the tumbler.
Oh, what a shame.
No, this is fine. This is fine because they're doing it by hand right at this moment.
Yes.
It's very interesting because I'm now going to give it to this other gentleman that takes it to the Philippines, and this will be his first exploration with this. So it'll be interesting to see what he comes up with.
Oh, all right.
Because he's completely different. Okay, very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Number two.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Oh, I forgot about the microphone. I know you probably, well, I have heard that you went over this yesterday, but I was interested to know about the Hale-Bopp object.
It is, in that sense, a misidentified anomaly. It is misunderstood.
Okay.
The idea of that which you have said is attached to the comet of Hale-Bopp is not really anything out there, but a reflection of those looking at it, reflected back to their own archetypal consciousness, projecting what the comet represents to them as a multidimensional doorway, because that's its main representation, is that it is time for a change into another reality. And different people will see different concepts attached to it, and in many cases will actually see these different concepts in what appear to be very real, solid, and structured forms that are not in any way, shape, or form actually out there near the comet at all, but are simply projections from the archetypal level within the consciousness of the person perceiving what the comet symbolizes to them in terms of great change about to happen.
Okay, well that makes absolute sense.
Oh, why, thank you.
So in that sense, the comet,
all of you set it up.
The comet is representing what that object would represent if it actually showed up in our skies and all of us were able to see it. To that
individual, yes. To others, it will represent other things. And other individuals will never perceive what that individual perceives.
So that extends then also to the idea of the remote viewing?
Exactly so.
So all
you are looking into different dimensions of reality and probable ideas of manifestation.
Okay.
It is literally the unlocking mirror. This is one of the names that has been given in the recognition of our observation of your creation, of the timing of the arrival of this comet. It is an unlocking mirror. It is a scrying tool. It is the psychomantium of the stars. It is you looking at all the possible reflections of yourself and deciding which shall be most true for the transformational age on your planet on the other side of the doorway and the threshold that you are now in the process of crossing.
Okay, that comet is supposed to be closest to us in April and May, I believe.
Yes.
So am I then to assume that we have some kind of opportunity building up here?
Yes.
Okay, my question to you then, in accordance with that, is how might we best use this opportunity?
I have just told you.
Okay.
You look into the mirror of the unknown, and you choose in the unknown what you shall be. Because as we have said, Only in the unknown do you really exist. Only, as you say, and as we said earlier, in the cracks do you really exist. That's where you really are. And only thus in the unknown will you discover your true self. Look into the face of the mirror, which is the idea of the abyss, the void, the unknown, the time of great change, and decide what it is you want your reflection to be, and live as that reflection. That is what this is symbolically representative of in terms of the shift going on in the collective consciousness of your planet that has timed the arrival of this comet to reflect these ideas to you. It is a time of choice, time of change. It represents in many ways a true moment of splitting off into a multitude of probable future Earth realities. Whatever you choose in that crossing of that threshold is what will be fixed and remain on the other side of the door when things begin to solidify again as the comet moves out of your system.
Can we, now you've often said that...
One moment.
Okay.
Analogy. You have what you call the idea on your planet in your technology of science and physics. In old-fashioned language, perhaps, the cyclotrons, the bevatrons, the idea of the atom splitters, the atom smashers, the accelerators, the particle accelerators. Do you understand it?
Yes.
Usually, in your science, what you do is you speed up a particle and aim it at other particles and smash it into other particles, which creates a shower of different particles that you then measure and see what you get. You understand?
Yes.
In some senses, that's what this comet is. It's like the particle coming into the system that will allow you, when you reflect off of it, to shatter and fragment into a number of probable future realities that will each then take its measurement from the degree of validity you give it and will begin to solidify as a new reality the longer and stronger you put your energy and momentum behind the particular reflection that you choose to create in that mirror, in that moment of metaphorical collision. It will not hit your planet, you understand? Not literally. But it is hitting your planet with a wave that forces you to face yourself and make decisions about what you really want the concept of your life to be, so that then that will simply play out as the manifestable future of the most probable future to reflect the vibration you put in to that moment of crossing.
My question is, I guess, are we dealing mainly just with the collective, or is this actually across the board individually as well?
This or that question?
Or is it
to a this and that?
I was going to say, or is it both of those things?
Then you know what the answer is, don't you?
I'll assume it's both.
Because it's always this and that. Never this or that.
Okay.
Except in that you make a choice, and the choice you make for the time you support it excludes certain experiences from it, but that doesn't take away the fundamental knowledge that it's always this and that, and therefore always possible to be whatever you choose it to be. Did that make sense to you?
Yes.
Does that help?
Yeah, one more question here.
All right.
It's fuzzy, it's hazy, but I'm going to try anyway. I don't know exactly where this is going.
Perhaps it is best that you don't.
That I don't know, yes. I'll agree. It seems to me recently that I have been psychically blocked, if you want to call it that. I usually have lots of dreams and stuff. One moment.
I
knew this
Let's
was
make
coming.
sure we give this its proper due. Ooh, psychically blocked. Ooh, I am shivering with fright.
Good.
Psychically blocked. What could it possibly portend? Oh, all sorts of negative scenarios come to mind. Oh, joy, what fun. Let's explore.
Okay, now...
Psychically blocked.
Have we got that? Everybody got that? Got that negative scenario in your mind?
Psychically blocked.
Well,
hell.
It's not so much
Does
negative.
that mean?
Not so much negative. It just indicated for me perhaps non-motion or non-movement. Or not moving ahead, maybe. Or just maybe not even perceiving some of the things that I
and your
would like to be perceived. point is, I've recently now had a bunch of dreams, which may
A bunch of
indicate
dreams.
that
So
I'm,
the dam has burst.
The dam has burst.
And flooded you.
No, it hasn't flooded me. It's trickling at this point.
Trickle,
but,
trickle, trickle.
But
How
I
can it
just wanted
burst
to
and only trickle?
I just wanted to say that I have had, on many, many occasions,
Yes. Many. Sounds like a flood to me.
dreams of aliens and things like that.
Oh,
and,
things like that.
And I get a sense of what that energy is.
Yes.
And oftentimes I will get the sense of that in my bedroom.
Yes.
And so this is now happening again to me. And first, let me just relate one little dream that I had.
Oh, all right. I will let you.
First one that I've had in a long time about this, and it
Go
was
right ahead.
just basically that in the dream I knew that the aliens were there and that they were attempting to communicate in some way, and they were giving me little symbols in the dream that they were with me. I would come home and all the furniture was turned over, and I knew they'd come in and turned it all over so that I would know they were there.
Yeah.
And in the basic scenario was that they were telling me that everything was happening in reverse, and that in order for us to be able to communicate, we needed to be functioning in reverse. So I'm just going to.
There is an expert in reversal quite near you.
Yeah. I know. I thought that was rather synchronistic. So there is that. I'm going to leave that there. But,
all right. Let's leave that there.
Along with that dream was this energy that I get often, and I get it when I'm just drifting off asleep, or I'm half asleep, half awake, and it's like, okay, I know they're here, and in the dream state, I'm never afraid. In fact, I'm delighted. I'm ecstatic.
You are lighted.
Yes.
Not delighted.
Okay,
lighted.
I'm lighted. And I'm always very excited and very happy to jump into their UFOs and things. But when I get the energy in my room, it does cause me a lot of fear.
Because, again, you are then connecting to the idea of the primal survival mode of your idea of physiological ego structure, and that is what goes into survival panic when it thinks its reality is about to be annihilated by going into another realm or dimension of experience. This is something, again, that is general for many of you. It may take a little time for you to get used to this, but that's all right.
So to combat that would be then the idea...
Combat it?
Well, fall into it, except, I don't know, to embrace that idea of... How am I trying to say this?
When was the last time you did something really scary?
Well, it's actually been a while since I did anything really scary.
I would suggest you go out and do so.
That's easy.
Thank you.
Okay.
That will put you in touch with what you need to get in touch with to make a friend of that fear and integrate it over time. But I also tell you this. Do not berate yourself nor be impatient with whatever amount of time this does take.
Right.
If it takes some time, there may be a reason for this. And again, in the power of paradox, the more you allow it to be all right for whatever time it takes, the less time it will take.
Right. Right. Okay, last item.
Yes.
I had a new energy enter my sleep.
Oh, all right.
Sleep
defined
as... Well, I don't have a great definition for it, really, except that I did kind of have a revelation tonight as to where that energy kind of...
Then by all means, share your revelation.
Okay, it was a kind of an energy that caused me to be kind of a buildup of tenseness, and then I would have to react to it in a physical way.
Yes.
And I just realized tonight that I guess that is the same energy that hits me if I'm channeling. But I've never had it hit me at night like that.
All right. You are pushing your envelope. You are bursting at the seams. It is the water attempting to burst through the dam.
Okay.
So it is also part of the process of you helping yourself get used to the idea of literally bursting into uncharted territory.
Okay. Any way you can help me do that? I've been trying. Don't try, I know. There's that word again.
All right. I will tell you this. If you wish, as we understand how these things go on your planet in terms of your season, this can be, if you wish, an early Christmas present. All right?
Great.
One moment. One moment. One moment. imagine, if you will, that when you go to sleep, you are going to be standing on the very, very edge of the most frightening precipice you can imagine. Have you got that?
Yep.
You're going to be looking out over the edge, down into whatever you imagine is the most frightening thing you can imagine is beyond the edge of that precipice. Have you got that?
Okay.
Then just let yourself drift into sleep. And as you do so, you will know, just because you will know, that there will be a version of you standing on the edge, in a sense, of such a precipice somewhere in some reality that is going to be connected in effect to this reality that you are living here. Have you got that?
Okay, yeah.
Then I am going to do you the favor of sneaking up behind you and pushing you off the edge.
There you go. Good.
See and feel what changes within you when this occurs. And we will talk at another time.
Great.
End of conversation. At this timing, we once again extend to each and every one of you our deep appreciation in allowing this window to open in this way at this time and allowing this communication to take place. Once again, we thank you deeply for allowing yourselves to dream us into your consciousness and allowing us to dream you into our own. Our unconditional love to you all. Good day. How did it go? Thank you all very much for being here tonight. Please have a good night. Look forward to seeing you again. Thanks.